The first gunshot cracked through the evening air, and everything changed in that single breath. Harriet Taylor was already running before the echo died. Her boots struck the muddy street of Cottonwood Springs with wild, desperate force, her lungs burning, her heart pounding so hard it felt like it might break free from her chest. Behind her, voices rose like a storm gathering strength, angry, certain, hungry for justice that was never hers. Or maybe never meant to be. Her hair had come loose, whipping behind her in the wind as she ran toward the edge of town, toward the one place that might give her a few more minutes of life. The livery stable. "Stop her!" Sheriff Dawson's voice thundered across the street. $500 to the man who brings her in. $500. Enough to make any man forget the truth. If you've ever seen how fast a town can turn on one person, you already know. She was never going to get a fair chance. Harriet pushed harder, her breath ragged now, her legs trembling but refusing to stop. The stable doors loomed ahead, half open, dark inside like the mouth of something unknown. But unknown was better than certain death. She slipped inside. The smell of hay and horse hit her at once. Warm, heavy, safe for now, or so she hoped. She moved deeper into the shadows, searching for somewhere to hide, somewhere to breathe, somewhere to think. Her hands trembled as she pressed herself against a wooden post, trying to steady the panic rising inside her chest. 3 days. 3 days since everything had gone wrong. 3 days since Edwin Price forced her into that storeroom and never walked out. "Yeah, they'll hang me." The words escaped her lips before she even realized she had spoken them aloud. "Maybe," a voice said quietly from the shadows. Harriet spun around. A man stepped forward from one of the stalls, tall, broad shoulders, a worn hat low over his eyes. The fading light caught his face just enough to reveal a strong jaw, tired eyes, and the kind of stillness that belonged to men who had seen too much. Not a town man, a trail man, a cowboy. Her fear shifted, but it did not leave. "Please," she whispered, "they're coming." The man studied her for a long moment, not rushing, not judging, just seeing. "Who's coming?" he asked. "Sheriff Dawson. His men. They think I murdered Edwin Price." Her voice broke slightly. "They'll hang me." Something changed in the man's expression. Not shock, not doubt. An understanding. He moved past her, walked to the stable doors, and looked outside. The noise was getting closer now. Boots, shouts, the sound of the men who believed they were right. He closed the doors, slid the wooden beam into place, sealed her fate, or maybe rewrote it. "The name's Tucker," he said calmly, turning back to her. "Tucker Jenkins." Harriet stared at him. "You don't know me," she said. "I know enough." His voice was steady, certain. "I know what fear looks like when it's telling the truth." For a moment, everything went quiet inside her, as if the world had paused, as if something impossible had just happened. "You don't need to explain," he added. Outside, the search was getting closer. Voices, orders, doors being kicked open one by one. Time was running out. "They'll hang me," Harriet said again, and softer now, more real. Tucker reached for his gun belt. Then he looked at her, really looked. And what he said next would change both their lives forever. "Then I'll stand beside you, till they don't dare." Harriet felt the words hit her like something solid, a promise from a stranger, a man who owed her nothing, and yet chose everything. Why? That question lingered in the silence between them. But there was no time to ask it. Tucker was already moving, fast, precise. He saddled 2 horses with practiced hands, his movements sharp and controlled. like a man who had made decisions like this before. "Can you ride?" he asked. "Yes." "Good." He handed her the reins. "Then stay close. And don't look back." Outside, the voices were right on top of them now. One more breath, one more choice, and one step that could never be undone. Tucker unbarred the back door, looked at her once more. "Ready?" Harriet nodded, and together they stepped into the dark, not knowing if they were riding toward freedom or straight into something far worse. The night swallowed them whole. Hooves thundered over hard earth as Tucker led the way into the foothills, Harriet riding close behind him, her fingers tight around the reins. Behind them, gunshots split the darkness. One bullet hissed past her ear. She did not scream. She did not look back. Tucker's voice carried over the wind. "Stay low. Follow my line." She leaned over her horse's neck, the animal's muscles straining beneath her as they climbed into rough country. The town lights of Cottonwood Springs faded behind them, swallowed by trees and rising ground. But the fear did not fade. "They're still coming," Harriet called. "I know." Tucker guided them off the main trail and into a narrow cut between rock walls. Pine branches scratched at her sleeves. Cold air cut into her lungs. Then came the sound of water. "Into the stream," Tucker ordered. They splashed into the shallow current, riding against the flow. Water soaked Harriet's boots, but she did not care. Every hoofprint washed away behind them. After nearly a mile, Tucker turned sharply onto a patch of stone. They climbed again, higher, farther. Only when the sounds of pursuit vanished into silence did he finally raise a hand. They stopped in a small clearing. Harriet slid from the saddle, her legs buckling as the world tilted beneath her. Tucker caught her before she fell. "Easy," he said quietly. His hands were warm. "Oh, steady." She hated how much comfort she felt in that. "I'm fine," she whispered, though she was not. He unsaddled the horses with quiet efficiency, his eyes constantly scanning the dark forest around them. He built a small fire, careful and controlled, just enough to warm them without drawing attention. The flames flickered across his face. Harriet sat opposite him, hands wrapped around a tin cup of coffee he had pressed into her palms. For a long moment, neither spoke. The forest breathed around them. Owls called in the distance. Wind moved through pine needles like a low whisper. Finally, Tucker looked at her. "Tell me what happened." Harriet stared into the fire. Her voice felt thin at first. "He cornered me." The words tasted bitter. "In the storeroom. Said he was tired of me refusing him. And said no one would believe me if I fought back." Her fingers tightened around the cup. "There was a pistol on the shelf. I reached for it." She swallowed. He laughed. The memory made her chest ache. "He didn't think I would use it." Tucker's jaw hardened. "But you did," he said softly. "There was a struggle," she whispered. "I never meant to kill him." The fire cracked between them. "I just meant to survive." Silence settled again. But it was different now. Not doubt, not suspicion, understanding. "They won't give you a fair trial," Tucker said at last. She shook her head. "His father owns half the town. The sheriff answers to him." The weight of it crushed her all over again. "I'm already dead to them." Tucker leaned forward, elbows on his knees. "And not while I'm breathing." The certainty in his voice frightened her almost as much as it steadied her. "You don't even know me," she said. He met her gaze. "I know enough." There was something in his eyes then, old regret, old anger. As if this was not the first time he had seen injustice dressed up as law. They slept in shifts that night. Harriet kept the rifle across her lap while Tucker rested, though she doubted she would have the strength to use it again. When dawn came, pale and cold, they rode north. By midday, the land had changed. The hills rose steeper. Aspen trees shimmered gold in the wind. Snow lingered in the shaded places. "We're heading to a friend," Tucker said. "Jacob Morales. Used to be a lawman. Will he help? If anyone can." By evening, they crested a ridge. Now below them sat a ranch tucked beside a creek. Smoke rose from the chimney. Hope felt dangerous, but she felt it anyway. Jacob Morales met them with a rifle in hand. He was older, silver hair, steady stance. Recognition softened his face when he saw Tucker. Inside the ranch house, warmth wrapped around Harriet like a blanket she had not known she needed. Over stew and cornbread, Tucker told the story. Jacob listened without interruption. When he finally spoke, his voice was firm. "I knew Edwin Price. Mean from the time he could walk." Harriet's breath caught. "You believe me?" Jacob nodded once. "Yes." The word hit her harder than any bullet. "But his father will not let this go," Jacob continued. "You cannot return to Cottonwood Springs." "What do I do?" she asked. Jacob rubbed his chin. "Yeah, I will contact the territorial marshal, but it will take time. Weeks, maybe months." Months. The word felt endless. "There's an old line cabin up near Eagle Creek," Tucker said. "Remote." Jacob nodded slowly. "That might work." Harriet straightened. "I don't care about comfort. I just want to live long enough to clear my name." Jacob looked at her with quiet respect. "You're stronger than you look." Later that night, alone in a small bedroom, Harriet sat on the edge of the bed. Everything had happened so fast. 3 days ago, she had been saving money for a dressmaking shop. Now she was hiding in the mountains with a cowboy who had risked his life for her. A soft knock came at the door. "It's Tucker." He stepped inside holding a small bundle. "Lucia found some clothes for you." She took them. "Why are you doing this?" she asked quietly. He hesitated, then answered, "Because 5 years ago I watched a woman hang for defending herself." The words were heavy. I knew she was telling the truth, and I said nothing. Pain flickered across his face. "I won't do that again." Harriet felt something shift inside her. Not just gratitude, something deeper. "You don't owe me that," she said softly. He shook his head. "Maybe I do." They left before dawn. Supplies packed, map in hand, 2 riders disappearing into wild country. By the second evening, they reached the cabin. Small, weathered, hidden in a valley kissed by early snow. "It'll keep us safe," Tucker said. Harriet looked at the smokehouse, the creek, the trees heavy with silence. Safe, for now. As night fell, and the fire burned low, and she lay awake on the narrow cot. "Tucker," she whispered. "Yes." "Why did you really stand beside me?" The fire popped. He answered without hesitation. "Because when you said they'd hang you, I believed you." A long pause. "And because some men only find redemption by standing where they should have stood before." Harriet closed her eyes. Outside, the first snow of winter began to fall. Inside, something else had begun to grow, and neither of them yet understood how much that small mountain cabin would change the rest of their lives. Winter closed around the cabin like a fist. The first heavy snow came in silence. By morning, the valley had vanished beneath white. Harriet stood in the doorway, the cold biting at her cheeks, her breath rising in soft clouds. Behind her, the fire snapped and settled. Behind her, Tucker moved through the small cabin with steady purpose. They were alone now, truly alone. No roads, no riders, no town voices calling for her neck. Only mountains, only sky, only each other. Days found their rhythm. Tucker cut wood until his shoulders burned. Harriet sealed cracks in the cabin walls with mud and straw, her hands raw but determined. They hauled water from the spring. They rationed flour and coffee. They smoked venison in the small shed behind the cabin. They survived. And slowly, something inside Harriet began to settle. For the first time since that gunshot in the storeroom, she could breathe without fear sitting on her chest. At night, they sat by the fire. Sometimes they spoke. Sometimes they simply listened to the wind press against the logs. One evening, and as snow drifted past the window like falling ash, Harriet looked at Tucker across the small wooden table. "Do you ever regret it?" she asked quietly. "Helping me?" He did not hesitate. "No." The word was firm. "I regret a lot of things in my life," he continued, "but not that." The firelight softened his face, revealed lines of old sorrow she had come to recognize. "And if spring comes," she said carefully, "and I am cleared, what then?" Tucker studied her. "You go wherever you choose," he answered. "And you?" He gave a small shrug. "I've been drifting long enough. I suppose I'll drift again." The thought struck her harder than she expected. Drift away from this cabin, from her, from the quiet peace they had built between snowstorms. She looked down at her hands. I don't want you to drift," she said before she could stop herself. The words hung in the air. Tucker rose slowly from his chair and crossed the room. He stopped in front of her. "Harriet," he said softly, "I am not a safe bet." She met his eyes. "You rode into gunfire for me." He swallowed. "That doesn't make me worthy of your future." She stood now, heart pounding harder than it had the night they fled town. "I am not asking for worthy," she said. "I am asking for honest." The wind howled outside, shaking the cabin. Inside, the silence between them felt louder than any storm. He reached for her hand. "If you choose to stand beside me," he said, voice low and steady, "I will never walk away." Her throat tightened. "That is all I want." The kiss they shared was not desperate, not reckless. It was slow, certain, and like two people stepping onto solid ground after nearly drowning. Winter deepened. They learned the shape of each other's silences, the sound of each other's breathing in the dark. On Christmas morning, they shared coffee by the fire and small handmade gifts. No church bells, no town celebrations, only quiet gratitude. "Strange," Harriet said softly, looking at the falling snow. "What is?" "I thought I had lost everything." Tucker brushed his thumb gently over her knuckles. Sometimes losing what was never meant to stay makes room for what is. January brought brutal cold. Then one afternoon the sound came. Harness bells. Tucker was on his feet in an instant. Harriet stood beside him, not behind him. Beside him. A sleigh cut through the snow into the clearing. Jacob Morales climbed down, older, slower, but steady. And inside the cabin, with coffee steaming in tin cups, Jacob removed a folded document. "The territorial marshal finished his investigation," he said. Harriet's hands trembled. "He ruled it self-defense." The world seemed to tilt. "You are cleared of all charges." For a moment, Harriet could not speak. The rope that had followed her in every nightmare finally loosened. "And Clarence Price?" Tucker asked. "Dead," Jacob replied. "Bank fraud uncovered. Took his own life before he could stand trial." Silence filled the cabin. The past had collapsed in on itself. Harriet looked at Tucker. "I'm free." He nodded. "Yes." But there was something else in Jacob's coat. A letter. For Tucker. From Denver. His father had passed. The ranch left to him. Land near Fort Collins. Room for horses. Room for a home. And Tucker read the letter slowly, his jaw tight, his eyes bright with things unknown. When he finished, he looked at Harriet. "I don't want to drift anymore," he said quietly. She stepped toward him. "Then don't." He took her hands. "Come with me," he said. "Not because you need saving, not because you owe me anything, but because I want you beside me when the dust settles." Tears blurred her vision. "I was hoping you would ask." He smiled then, a real one. Not guarded, not shadowed, just open. Spring arrived as if the mountains themselves had forgiven them. Snow melted, grass returned. They packed what little they had. On the morning they left the cabin, Harriet stood for a long moment in the doorway. "That place saved us," she said softly. Tucker slipped his hand into hers. It did. They rode south together, and not fleeing, not hiding, but choosing. 5 years later, the sun set gold over a ranch near Fort Collins. Harriet stood on the porch of a sturdy house built by strong hands. A small boy ran across the yard toward his father. Tucker lifted the child into the air with easy strength. The land behind them stretched wide and open. Fields, horses, and yes, flowers. When Tucker reached the porch, he kissed Harriet gently. "Still standing beside you," he said. She smiled. "Till they don't dare." And they had not. Not the town, not the past, not even death. Because when fear had promised a rope, love had answered with something stronger. And sometimes, the bravest thing a man can do is stand.